What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to From the Forum, our Friday night Q&A show, fantasy football. I've got a crew in the house, some fantasy football advice network gurus themselves, and we are pumped for the show tonight. So go ahead, start dropping those questions in, but I'm gonna let them go around real quick. Just go clockwise, introduce yourself, maybe where they can find you or what shows they can find you on, and then we're going to kick this thing live. Go ahead, start us off, Amber.
Right on. You guys can find me on Twitter X and Instagram at Amber_FF. And of course, here on the Fantasy Football Advice Network on Spilled Coffee on Sundays, Queen's Ransom on Wednesdays. We have a real fun segment at the end of each show there. So come check us out. And joining you guys tonight. So thank you, Tyler, for having me on.
Glad to have you.
And I'm Kyle, and I'm sure everybody's sick of me because I'm on like 8 shows, but I'm on Weekly Kickoff, Boom Bust, Wall Street, Spilled Coffee, Kyle FFAN everywhere. That's it.
I'm at the Zac Bradley on X, on the network, on pretty much any social media. I'm the host of the Fantasy Lounge. You can see us, of course, on the YouTube channel and on the network. And that's it. Just the one show for me for now. So.
Well, we've got a killer crew here, Zach. I love the show. Kyle, I love your mini shows. My favorite one maybe where you wear the full referee outfit and go, try to handle that.
Devil's Advocate. That was actually, I forgot to list that one. So, yeah, Devil's Advocate.
And also, Amber, Spilled Coffee and the Queen's Ransom. You got a vibe. Love it. But yeah, so we're here tonight to answer your questions. This show is sponsored by Fantasy Sports Advice Network. That's fantasysportsadvice.com. And we're hitting it right off. Question coming over from Twitch. Do I start Mike Evans this week and Giants RB1 or Bucky Irving and Wandell? Well, Giants is Singletary healthy this week? Is that an option, or is he still banged up?
I think he's still banged up, as far as I know.
Yeah. So we've got, let's see.
So you're going to have some kind of semblance of, Tracy or Eric Gray, probably more so Tracy than the latter. So is it Mike Evans and Tracy or Bucky and Wandell?
So this is tough because Bucky, again, I think we're going to see, an emergence of him a little bit later in the season. But right now we're seeing a split timeshare situation. So I feel that's like a risky play with Bucky. Wandale, I'm kind of confident in because, you want him against the Bengals. I feel confident in that situation. So that's tough. I don't think I can trust well, I'm going to have to go Evans and whoever Giants RB1 is. I think I'm going to have to sit on that because I know we can rely on Bucky to some degree, but I'm not feeling too confident this week.
Yep.
All right. You agree, Kyle?
Yeah, I agree. I just don't see any way you bench Mike Evans. Even as good as Wandell's been, you can't bench Mike Evans for him. And then Tyrone Tracy looked really good last week in that role.
Yeah. So 18 carries for 129 yards against a pretty stout Seattle defense in Seattle.
And the Bengals defense is not as good. So I love Tyrone Tracy this week. So yeah, I'm definitely going with Evans Tracy as well.
I like the other side.
You're crazy.
Rachaad White's going to be out. He's doubtful, so Bucky Irving gets RB1 status on the team, not necessarily in fantasy, but on the team. And then Malik is looking doubtful, so Wandale looks pretty good. And Cincinnati has like a bottom 16 passing defense. So I actually kind of like the other one.
Yeah, I'll admit I did not. I'm usually up and up on the news. I was out on this Rachaad White news, so I'm going to have to flip over with you.
Boom.
I literally had no idea. That's not like me, by
But
the way.
we're not helping Marion Anthony 57 out, okay? It's a split decision. It can't be a split decision. Look, at the end of the day, it's my show. I'm going to tell you, Tyrone Tracy put up over 100 yards against a tough defense. Give him Cincinnati this week, and he's going to do even better. I do like
knows what he's
Wandale.
talking about.
I do like Wandale. Wandale gets the targets, okay? Neighbors out, Wandale feeds. But the big reciprocant of Neighbors being out last week we saw was the infamous one and only Darius Slayton, not Wandale per se. So I lean more that direction. I do love the Giants receivers this week. I am actually starting Daniel Jones, which is crazy, but mainly because they're expecting, the Bengals secondary, they're expected to be missing Dax Hill. And then you have a stellar, Joe Burrow has been elite, over 300 yards last week. Very efficient. That offense is going to move, so the Giants are going to have to throw to keep up. So I do like that play, Wandale, Zach. I don't hate it at all. I believe Tyrone Tracy over Bucky in those dynamics. I like Bucky. I just think coming off that week, Tyrone Tracy's feeling himself over 100+ yards. He's going to have it.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
and I think the whole point of this question is to avoid putting players from the same team. But I don't know who your flex is, but if you can get Wandale in your flex spot, I'm all about that.
And I definitely want Mike Evans. That's 2 touchdowns, easy.
Hey, yo, watch this Mike Evans matchup. It's Marshawn Lattimore, and they be clashing, okay?
They do clash. Lattimore has Evans' number, but didn't Lattimore get hurt last week again? Because I know Adebo could not force penalties. So
no, Marshawn Lattimore was so good that they were throwing to Adebo. Okay.
All right, let's go on to the next question. We got Rams House 99 popping in. Dynasty, full PPR, 1.75 for tight end, super flex. Thanks for giving us the context. It helps us answer the questions. I'm 3-7, so must be one of those against the median and against the league. It's the lineup is Kyler, Caleb, Bijan, Justice Hill, Rome Lad T, Hawk McBride, Ayuk Polk. Traded Bijan for Reed and JSN. Thoughts? So what do you think? You have the roster for perspective. Kyle, what are your thoughts? If you have Bijan, are you trading him for Reed and JSN?
Absolutely not. I know he's been a little disappointing, but he's still Bijan. And I don't.
This is dynasty.
I'm not saying never trade. It is dynasty. That makes it even worse. And I'm not saying never trade him, but I'm saying you could have done better than Reed and JSN, a lot better, if I'm being honest. And I probably would have tried to get a running back in that deal also.
Yeah, you do need running backs. You're thin at running back. What do you think, Amber? You got something to say?
So I think it's because of where he sits with running backs. His running back situation. What do we got?
Yeah, 2, right?
I don't know what his bench is.
Yeah, I only see 2, and that's where I'm for me that was a bad trade. If you were sitting pretty on the bench with your running backs, I'd feel a little bit differently. Even if you had a Chuba, anything to get you through this season. Obviously, I think for next season though, Reed and JSN they're great benchmarks to have for your team, right? And if you're trying to contend this year, 3-7, it's not too bad, but it's starting to get to a point where you're wow, am I do I need to start trading for picks? But we know Bijan is supposed to be generational. I really think he's going to have an uptick moving forward. I think they're going to have to get the run game going in Atlanta. And because Kirk can't hold on this long doing what he's doing. I just don't believe that. And so, yeah, for me, I just don't think that in this particular situation, it was a great trade, but I'm not opposed to it if you had a better running back situation.
I do have, real quick, Zach, sorry, I'll let you
do it.
But I have one more thought. In a super flex dynasty, tight end premium, that high a tight end premium, if you're trading an asset like Bijan, I'm using that to maximize and get the best quarterbacks and tight ends I can. Hawk is you can definitely improve on Hawk, right? Go after Laporta or somebody like that, Bowers, or you can do better than Caleb Williams in that number 2 spot. Go get you, another QB that's better. Like, those are the kinds of moves I would be looking for if I was moving a Bijan in Dynasty, Superflex, tight end, premium, all that junk.
Yep. So, no, I agree with you guys. So, when I first read the question, my instant reaction was, oh, not bad. Reed, Jason, we're good. And then the longer you look at it, the more it sinks in that it's Dynasty. He can't have a bunch of running backs on the bench. Justice Hill is in the starting lineup.
Right.
And so, like, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, man, I think you saw Reed and Jason, and you were like, sweet. But Bijan's not even averaging underneath double-digit points. Like, he's going to get better as the offense, like as they have to worry about the passing offense, opportunities will open for Bijan. Yeah, I agree. If you're going to trade like a first-round pick of a player, like a consensus top, probably like 6 before the season started player, you go get the tight end premium or the quarterbacks. Like could you not have got like Sam Darnold and something else for Bijan in this instance, and he's absolutely killing it. So
I literally made that trade before last week. I traded Bijan for Sam Darnold, Achane, and another in a super flex dynasty because I was like, I have Jonathan Taylor, I have Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard, I have Nick Chubb on bench, so I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I don't think you got dominated in the trade, Rams House 99. I just think, like I said, the longer I looked at the question, the more I was like, no, I'm on the Bijan side.
Yeah, I think you definitely you weakened yourself. You were already weak at running back. You just got yourself more weak at running back, and you have to play 2 every week in most leagues, and that's why I couldn't do this trade. I got to have a running back in there, and so now you're going to be drafting maybes at a hope that somebody lands a starting role, and we see very few year 1 running backs get the starting role right off the cuff. So it's going to put you in a hole, but maybe you can turn around and move somebody for a good running back. But when you have a top consensus, really like top 5 guy, in Dynasty, it's hard to let that go and not get a replacement. So we got Cam the Ham in the house. Should I trade Mason and Mooney for JT and Devonta Smith? I imagine this is redraft this season. Kyle saying yes. Amber, you got the Zac.
I gotta look because I had to think about because I'm obsessed with Mooney, but we know like JT and Devonta, you cannot go wrong. That is a beautiful deal. This Mason and Mooney. Mason's not going to be number 1 forever for this season. We know if even November, we still have there's still several weeks left in the season with CMC back, and yeah, this is a smash for me.
Yeah, they're talking about CMC wants to come back like week 10, 11 is beginning of November,
right.
So that's still a pretty good chunk of the season.
Playoff season.
Cash in Mason now, and Mooney on a high. Like
JT and Devonta too. Come on now.
I would trade those 2 for one of JT or Devonta Smith, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Well, I would for JT, maybe not Devonta, just because you need Mason.
No, I totally agree.
You need a running back.
You probably just missed your chance on Mason too, right? He was banged up this last game. He got 9 points. Garindo came in, ran 90, and just decided not to score a touchdown. And then if anybody bet the over on Juszczyk getting 2 touchdowns, you made money this weekend.
Right.
So I think it's confusing with the 49ers backfield right now without McCaffrey. So yeah, if you could get that, man, roll.
Their backfield's looking like the Chiefs' whole team. Where you're like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Albert popping in. What's up, everyone? And then we got Luis Becerra. Sorry, Becerra. Probably there's a little bit of a roll there, I imagine.
I know a little bit of Spanish, but I could never hit the roll.
Double R's is a roll. With AR more than likely starting this week, is Trey Sermon a startable flex player, or should I start D-Hop instead with a lacking Indy pass defense? So the question is Trey Sermon in flex or D-Hop in the flex. Indy pass defense is weak. Trey Sermon was getting some good work last week. Does AR essentially change your outlook on that? Or who your start? Zach, start us off on that one.
Yeah, so I'm kind of 50-50. The Colts have bottom 4 pass defense. So, you go oh, D-Hop should do well, but really sucks. He stinks at football. So,
Your
I kind of
internet
want to go
really
with,
stinks at football.
I imagine so. His internet broke up, but I imagine it was something along the lines of Will Levis
Yeah,
eats mayonnaise and stinks at football.
Yeah.
I imagine
Yes.
that's what was said.
accurate.
exactly.
That was me. Yes, I think Trey Sermon. It's safer, but yeah.
Trey
Yeah.
Sermon is Zach's take. All right, Amber, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Trey Sermon. I mean, it's Tennessee. Like and if JT's out, we saw what he did last week. I'm going Trey Sermon. Capitalize on it while you got him,
Yep, exactly. I'm with him.
So Can the Ham coming back in and said lineup is Mayfield, Henry, Mason, Diggs, London, Mooney, Conklin. Bench Geno, Irving, Devontae Adams, Cooper, Pittman, Mixon, Tolbert, and CMC. Man, I love your bench. The second half of the season should be a great time for you. Should I make some trades? 3-2, lost by 1. I'm not really worried about making trades with this roster. Personally, I think you have a killer roster. I think it only gets better. You have some good staples in there. If anything, I'm not a big proponent of starting 2 wide receivers on the same team. So, you have some ability to move London or Mooney, both coming off really big games. And maybe you go and grab you a really nice tight end. That's kind of where you're weak on this lineup. Conklin's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you could get somebody really strong there at tight end, I think you could really set your team up well. Like Kittle. Get Kittle. Ugh.
Yeah. And I think doing that Mooney Mason trade, I think that helps give you more firepower to do so.
Yep.
Their trade value is going to be higher.
Couldn't have said it better, honestly.
Yeah, this guy's some health away from being really good, and a Devontae Adams trade.
You're going to be scary, like second half of the season for sure.
No question.
He said, thanks for some feedback. Feel confident in my deep roster. We'll hit the sub for y'all. Appreciate that, Can the Ham. You are the bomb. And before you go, we will let you know this show is put on by fantasysportsadvice.com, the social media platform for fantasy sports. And
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
So I've got FantasySportsAdvice.com pulled up right on the screen, and we've got a question that was dropped in there 6 hours ago from our guy Fantasy Meatball in the chat, and he said, which one of these dynamic duos are you willing to play on the same team together? We saw last year, teams like David Montgomery and a Jahmyr Gibbs can win you a championship. Like those two guys can be effective. You can roll with both each week in your running back position, and you can win games. Mm-hmm. So if you had to go in this year and you had to decide, let's go between these 4. And I think the first one is supposed to be ETN and
Bigsby.
Yeah.
There. But if you had to pick one of those, let's just run it down real quick. Amber, start us off. Which duo do you want?
I'm just the way they're playing so far. I think I'm gonna have to go with ETN and Bigsby. I think that's the best option, especially moving forward.
Yeah, I was curious. Like, is this just for this week, or is this just in theory any week?
I think this is season long. Like in theory, if you have to run duo running backs in your spots, for the season, which 2 do you want?
Yeah, it's ETN and Bigsby for me, just because of the way how different they are, but how similar they are. They remind me of like a Montgomery Gibbs situation if they really get the running game going like they should on Jacksonville. So it's like ETN's so powerful, and if we could really get him going, like they're nonstop, those 2. So
Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna trust. Hate the Falcons. I'm gonna trust in the Falcons backfield. Bijan's much better. And Algier it's work even when Bijan's good. So like that for me, I like the Falcons backfield in this situation.
Kyle?
Yeah, I got to go with Amber on this one with Etienne and Bigsby. Like, I think they just complement each other so well in what they do that I think that's going to be a pretty dangerous duo going forward. I could see that being a very much a Gibbs-Monty type of setup there. Although all of these groups are pretty solid. But
Yeah.
if I got to pick one where I think they're both going to pull kind of equal weight in the duo, it's going to be the Jags duo, I think.
For me, it was really close on the Jags duo, but I actually leaned kind of probably out of left field and go Zach Moss, Chase Brown. It may be a little wild, okay, but
Been hitting that sauce tonight, huh?
Zach, and I'm not a Zach Moss fan at all, but Zach Moss is averaging double-digit points weekly. Chase Brown, they're bringing him in more into that offense. They're getting him more involved in the pass game, and we're not seeing Moss's points take a hit. Moss is still getting, usage and touchdowns, and then Chase Brown is hitting in. We're seeing him run the ball and get a touchdown. We're seeing him catch the ball a lot. And so both of those players are like, even if you look at, last week against a tough Baltimore defense, Moss had almost 10 points. Chase Brown's had 16. You go the week before against Carolina, Moss had 17 points. Chase Brown had 23 points. Washington, Chase Brown, 10 points, Zach Moss, 20 points. So it's like any given week, you're averaging 30 points between the duo. And like that, it's consistent. That's what, anytime like I'm running something like that, I want consistency, where I know I can count on those players. I like that duo. I also love, I'm hoping the Jags. I like Tank. He's the Tank. Etienne's the, run around kind of guy, and
run around kind of guy.
I like this duo.
I do think they're just kind of starting to figure out that chemistry though in Jacksonville. So
that's fair.
It's kind of in the early stages of that, whereas the Bengals are just like randomly throwing one of them out there at a time. But I don't hate the take though.
It's funny because I was going to say it first, but I was looking at like long term for the season because I really I have a lot of Zach Moss and I have a lot of Chase Brown. So I'm like, I have them on same teams as well. And I'm like, some weeks, last week I had to play them both on the same team. And I'm like, it wasn't terrible. Last week wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't terrible for me either. Right. You put them together and you're like, all right, if I averaged that from two guys elsewhere, it would have been fine. So,
Love it. So we got the next question popping in from Corey. In the house, pick 2 PPR. Najee, Mixon, Brian Robinson, or
Ryan Robinson?
It's gonna be Brian. I know Corey didn't draft Bijan anywhere, so it's gonna be Brian.
And Josh Jacobs. Let's see.
Especially if he's got him in a pick'em question, it's not gonna be Bijan, I promise.
Josh Jacobs has Arizona.
I mean, for me, I'm starting Mixon regardless because he's back. They wouldn't bring him back if he wasn't healthy. They've missed him. It's been very clear.
Yeah, I think I like Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon. I think Brian Robinson didn't practice all week. He still might play, but I'm going a little bit safer. I like those two guys, Jacobs and Mixon.
Same.
Yep, I'm with it. Najee's dead to me.
Yeah.
Right. I've been crapping on him for 2 years. Everybody keeps defending him, Scotty, and he couldn't even hardly get any yards against the Cowboys. Like, at what point do we call it like he's Trent Richardson 2.0 and nobody will acknowledge it?
No, he's just not quite as round.
Trent Richardson got round and slow. Like Najee.
Eddie Lacy's the one that got fat.
But so I will say this. So Najee has Las Vegas. It's a really easy matchup. But I love Mixon. That's my number one. Brian Robinson has Baltimore, so I'm going to bench him against a tough D coming off of not practicing all week, like Zach said. And it's between Najee and Jacobs for me. I'm gonna go Jacobs because it's Arizona. It's not like it's a strong matchup, And, he finally started to break through. His yards per carry wasn't great. It was close to 4, but not quite 4 yards per carry. But he got 19 touches. I think that they probably, control that game a little bit more. I like those two are interchangeable for me, Najee and Jacobs, but I think I tilt Jacobs a little bit.
Hey, dude, I don't be weird. Najee's kicked more points than he does. I'm good, dude. Get that dude out of here.
The crazy thing is, though, Najee is going to get usage. I mean, he's getting double-digit attempts a week despite production. He's getting catches. The last 3 weeks he's averaged double-digit points, and he hasn't hit below. He's had an 8.1. I guess he's had an 8.4 all season, and he played some tough matchups. I mean, he had Denver. And that was actually a strong.
He also had Indianapolis and Dallas.
Indianapolis has good linebackers. Their DBs suck, but their linebackers are good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just that people didn't temper their expectations when they drafted him. A lot of people were hyping him up this offseason. Again, everybody was banking on 3 seasons at over 1,000 yards. I mean, yeah, you could still hit 1,000 yards, but it doesn't mean it's going to translate to fantasy,
I hate to tell you,
20 carries for 10 yards. I mean,
the Colts allow the second most rushing yards in the league.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm gonna take a curveball and I'm gonna go Najee over Jacobs this week.
I'm leaving the stream. I'm done.
You're just dead wrong.
I'm gonna take off my mic and
storm off set. It's just who I am, but that's okay.
All right, Adam Stoddard in there. He said, "Should I trade Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, and Dobbins for Diggs and CMC? My team is quarterback Daniels, Dobbins, ETN, Hunt, Dowdle, Bigsby, Chase, Wilson, Amari, Cup, Lads, tight end, Pitts, Ingram."
Hold on, let's see.
I
think it's kind of expensive.
I like the consistent upgrade of Diggs. I like CMC if he comes back. I don't mind the trade. I think the Jets are still a hot mess. Deshaun Watson is an absolute hot mess. And Dobbins, do we get 2 more games? Do we get 4 more games? Do we get no more games? We don't know.
And with Nico out, like Diggs is a surefire win for the next couple of weeks, right? And that at least minimally, it's and it's tough because like Cooper, I mean, he's only 45% of his passes have been catchable. That's the sad part because they're like, oh, it's his fault. It's not his fault. We know that, so I hope everyone knows that. But
the funny part is too, like, you don't get CMC back for a while, but we literally just got done talking about how you can play ETN and Bigsby together and feel okay about it too. So with a 4-1 start, you can kind of afford to wait for CMC at this point and roll with what you got. So I'd probably make that move. Like you said, I'd take Diggs over Wilson and Amari right now for sure.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it thins you out, but like you said, 4-1, you got like the statistics on being 4-1 and I think it's like over 70%. You're probably okay. But you do thin the roster, trading 3 for 2, and one of them's not playing.
Fair enough. Zach popping in, giving Amber some love. Amber, why are you so good in the Scott Fish Bowl?
We'll just call it beginner's luck, huh?
Look, killing the game.
Wild.
I just want to be like you when I grow up.
I can't believe when I looked at it again this week, I was like, I went from like 140 to 42, and I was like, okay, all right, we're making some moves here.
I'm still somewhere down there in like the 4,000s or something. I don't know.
I was gonna say I'm like second to last, I think, in the whole thing. I have had the worst luck. I don't know where I'm actually ranked, but I just I've had like the worst freaking luck possible.
I was really trying to come through for our squad for FSAN, for FFAN. I was like, I needed to show up. Okay. Also, I have this like ingrained competition being a female. I'm like, gotta be up there. Gotta be up there. It's fine.
All right, Corey popping back in. Mooney, Dell, Deontay, or Cooper. Who do you want?
Dell and Mooney. Wait, who does Deontay play? I forgot. Atlanta.
Homer. I love him, dude. Especially in PPR, he's an absolute machine. you're good. Fade Cooper, but I would take Deontay Johnson and one of the other two.
Yeah, Cooper's a hard no, but Mooney against Carolina.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Deontay and Mooney. Well, I mean, it's either or with Dell, but I mean, again,
I gotta have Dell. With Nico out, I gotta go Dell. But
I'm gonna agree with Zach. Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry, Dale.
probably Deontay Johnson to be my second. I want to do Mooney, but number 2 receiver, number 1 receiver. Give me Deontay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I can tell you this: the key for Mooney, if you think it's going to be a wide open game or that Atlanta may be behind in the second half, those are the games that you want Mooney because he was the.
That's not this week.
That's not this week. They've got Carolina.
If you're gonna buy Bijan Robinson, now is the time.
Kirko Chains threw for all those yards and all those throwing attempts, and then they're gonna blow the Panthers out and run the ball in the second half. Like I'm good.
Bijan breakout incoming.
Cam the Ham back in. Should I start Mooney, Cooper, Tolbert, or Mixon at the flex if healthy?
Mixon.
I think it's probably consensus Mixon here in flex.
By a mile, I would think.
Yeah, especially if it's PPR. Yeah, Mixon.
PPR, I don't care the format. It's Mixon there to me.
And then hear me out. If you had to play 2, if it's a 2 flex, I actually really like Jalen Tolbert this week. Cook's out. They've got a relatively weak pass defense in Detroit.
Tolbert to the moon this week for me as well.
Yep.
It's just risky versus somebody can be consistent.
I watched CeeDee Lamb get me like 8 points last week, so I'm mad at the boys. I also, nobody knows why the heck they're not using Zeke. He's actually been an effective runner when he's touched the ball. So I'm mad at the Cowboys this year.
Dowdle looks good. That's why.
Yeah, Dowdle looks good. Hey, sorry, Tyler. Zeke's washed. Hey,
he's not washed.
And Najee can go have a party, bro. We're good.
Oh my God! Such haters. Such haters.
You said he's not washed. Did I miss the way?
He had a couple of good games with the Patriots.
Tyler's like Zeke's good. He's back.
Everybody.
No, I didn't say he's back. I just said like he looks good when he runs the ball.
He's feed me, but now it's Jello. He's holding
Zeke is washed down. Look, I admit, so I've been a Zeke fan. I've followed him for like the last 10 years in the NFL. I had him last year when finally everybody in New England went down and they gave him the ball, and then he went nuts, over 70 receptions on the year, finished like he probably won people into the playoffs the latter half of the season. So I saw him at the beginning of the first game. He averaged over 4 yards a carry, he had 40 yards and a touchdown. And so I had high hopes. But even CD last week, 8 points. Like, you're going home and you're crying because you're counting on CD to pull it together for you on Monday night and get you that dub. And you left sad about it. You left sad if you had really anybody in that game. George Pickens, CD Lamb, everybody let you down except for Rico Dowdle's touchdown.
Rico Dowdle and Jalen Tolbert.
Luckily, I had enough people let me down on Sunday that it was too late for Lamb to affect me anymore.
He's watched like Sunday morning.
You were already crying before that game happened.
I was already in the fetal position watching that game from kickoff. Yeah.
So Andre says, who are some receivers y'all would trade Garrett Wilson for? I'm trying to move off him ASAP. My other receivers are Chase Olave, Brian Thomas Jr., Woo Woo, love that one, and Josh Downs, also sneaky. So you don't really need him. I'll tell you this, and this is right off the cuff, and then we'll start getting some feedback. If you're going to make a trade, okay, anytime, like if I offer a wide receiver for another wide receiver, and I've been on the receiving end of these deals, I'm like, okay, obviously you believe my guy is better, right? Like, why? Like, it's the same position. It's the same roster spot. So if you're going to get an effective deal for Garrett Wilson, you're going to have to mix it up a little bit. You have to bring in Garrett Wilson and maybe a lesser running back who may have a short leash, like you go Wilson and like a Jerome Ford, or Wilson and a Najee Harris, or something, like this, and you try to pair them up to get somebody significantly elite, but I don't think a Wilson for wide receiver, or you just take it and you try to do a pair, right? Like you try to go Wilson for a running back, off. But you're going to have to find somebody that believes in them. And right now it's looking pretty tough in New York. And I know you saw it on the logo. It was the Rodgers pushing off Robert. And guess what? Rodgers went into the office and he said, I don't like this dude. And he got his way. Robert Saleh came in for game prep, or for practice prep, and then got escorted out the building. Apparently it wasn't the smoothest transition. So, I would be curious one, answer the question, who are you trying to sell into Garrett Wilson for? And two, and he said, the package I'm moving is Jordan Mason and Garrett Wilson. So if you can move those two, I think you can nail something good. But who's somebody that you're going after in the trade? And what the heck do we do with the Jets?
Well, I'll lead this one off. I think for me, if I'm going to get rid of Garrett Wilson, I want to get you already have Chase and Olave, which is nice, and BTJ, right? I want an AJ Brown, I think, is what I'm looking for. But Mason, I think you could even get a little bit more. I like an AJ Brown. I like do you think like a Garrett Wilson and a Mason right now to a desperate person get like CD, even though CD had a bad week? Like he's still elite. Is that possible?
CD
depending on your league, right? Depending on who you're playing with.
CD is probably pretty hard, but
I know
it's a
tough.
maybe there.
Yeah, I know it's pushing it.
Weirdly, I think you have a better shot at getting JJ.
Yeah,
I want CD or St. Brown, man. Those are the two I'm shooting for with that duo.
Yeah.
Zach, you were about to say something.
No, I was just gonna say, look, for me, I'm building some consistency with that trade because you've got the number one receiver right now in Jamar Chase. Brian Thomas Jr. is I think top 11 or top 12, and then Olave will get better. Okay, Saints fans, it's okay. Like it's clearly in the background, we believe. Okay,
I love Olave. I'm not giving up hope.
Yeah, dude, he's fine. It's a game script thing, and Derek Carr was kind of struggling. I want to build consistency. I think you can go get like and maybe look at the rest.
I swear it only cuts out when he says name.
And I've got I'm telling you,
he's trolling us is what he's doing. He's hitting mute every time he says a name, and he's just freezing. Like it's not his internet at all. He's just stopping.
No. So yeah, I was saying I just want to build consistency. Someone who's gonna kind of more regularly have those even amount of points. Garrett Wilson has best game ever, but usually he kind of stinks. So take those two guys and get Drake London or get your Jaden Reed or get something like that and just kind of build out the middle of the roster. I'd take that 30-point game with Garrett Wilson, and it's not the question, but I would go prey on somebody for a running back. I mean, I would absolutely go scarf a running back on that, but
Well, I mean, because he's sitting really pretty at wide receiver. So
you're good, bro. You're good.
Go check out.
I might not trade him.
Tight end and RB,
His wide receivers are so good. If you're not getting a Lamb or a St. Brown, I'm going running back.
Yeah.
Or tight end, depending on what your roster looks like.
This guy got hurt one year, and every receiver got hurt, and he's scared to not have 20 good receivers.
I think with a package like that, like a Garrett Wilson, who obviously is getting targeted by Aaron Rodgers, he's the number one wide receiver there. Theoretically, I think that Rodgers also likes him some Lazard, but you got Wilson and Mason there. I think that it's a potential. I think an AJ Brown seems like an easy win to me. An Amon-Ra seems reachable.
Right.
A JJ almost seems like it's close. Like if the guy's really not super excited, maybe JJ's coming off isn't there this week. You're thinking maybe you can get in there and get him.
What I'm doing? I'm getting in there and trying to buy low on maybe Bijan or Kenneth Walker or something like that.
I think the other shot that I would try to do is just lost Nico for 4 weeks. And try to go Garrett Wilson. He's going to keep playing. Let me get Nico. You can absorb sitting Nico for 4 weeks on IR, and then play him in the later half of the season.
Absolutely.
All right, Corey popping in. Anthony Richardson droppable, 0 trade value right now. Can't be stash in IR spot anymore. Are you dropping A-Rich?
Not in Dynasty, not yet. But if you're in redraft and you need a QB or something else on waivers, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I have him on one of my dynasty leagues, and it sucks because I had to make that Bijan trade for a QB, but that's fine. I mean, it's fine, but it's also like it just sucks having him sit there not knowing. I'd rather them just play Flacco. But redraft, I'm dropping him. To answer the question.
They're streamable quarterbacks. I mean, you could go stream like Justin Fields or Kirk Cousins or Daniel Jones even in the right matchup. Like Anthony Richardson. For redraft right now, you drop them if you need to go in Dynasty, no chance. But in redraft, yeah, it's fine.
So we got Brent Bradford stopping in. He said, last week I traded T-Law, BTJ, Ford, and Njoku for Darnold, McLaurin, Gibbs, and Kincaid.
Woohoo!
This past week made it look like a bad deal. We saw T-Law and BTJ go off. Ford and Njoku were just okay. But on the other side of it, Darnold had his, 5-point bust. Gibbs was on bye. McLaurin was fine. Kincaid, still not effective, even though they were, without Shakir. It was just an okay day for him. So was it a bad deal? Did he mess it up?
I do want to say, Brent, my condolences, because as soon as I read the question, I understood your pain. So I understand, but that's temporary. It's temporary. Darnold and the Vikings coming back off of bye. They need the rest. Obviously they traveled overseas. Like it's, what I mean? It's a big deal. And Kincaid, I think will have an uptick. I'm a little concerned for him, but McLaurin and Gibbs, you're sitting pretty. Jane Daniels is by far, I think, almost better than CJ Stroud right now than last year's CJ Stroud at this point in the season. So I think you're fine. It just really hurts when you see those scores happen right after a trade, because it happened to me. Achan got concussed right after I made the trade 5 minutes later. So there we go.
Yeah, when that recency bias punches you right in the mouth. Right?
Oh yeah,
but you did the right thing getting rid of every Browns player you have. Gibbs is going to be. Gibbs alone wins that trade for you.
Yep. I think you look at it. You're going to look back at this trade and go, I can't believe I got these guys for that. You're good. Brian Thomas Jr. stinks. I'm good with the rest of it. All of the rest of it, I think you won.
We got Corey popping in. Zach couldn't even say Daniel Jones with a straight face when mentioning streaming options.
Somebody find my
twin. This week.
Dude,
who would have thought we'd say Daniel Jones over Caleb Williams at this point? It's really
he had, Jones. I don't know. Maybe he ate his Wheaties. He came in last week, dropped 26 points, 257 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. The Dallas game was weak, but even the 2 games before that, Washington and Cleveland, he had 20-plus points in both of those games. So I don't hate him as a streaming option. Cincinnati with beat down secondary this week, sure.
Daniel Jones is
heck not.
Daniel Jones with those 2 other games is like league average away from being a top 10 quarterback this year. Well, it's it sucks because I hate the Giants.
Up in my mouth a little bit.
Cam the Ham popping in. Would you trade Mason, Mooney, and Tolbert for Bijan and Nico Collins?
I would
100% smash it.
Sprint and hit that, and I don't even like to run.
That's like one of those, you better not think about it too long. You better hit accept before they think about it and take it away.
Bro, you're not buying high, you're stealing.
Do the deal.
Highway robbery.
In fact, I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to give you a golf clap. Congratulations. You won the lottery. It's there. Do it. You'll appreciate that when you hit the playoffs.
In this case, it's not too good to be true. Hit accept.
Josh Loyola popping in. Need a running back spot and 2 flex. I got J.K. Dobbins and Zach Moss. And then got Tank Dell, Brian Thomas Jr. I can tell you in one of those spots, I'm definitely playing Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's probably going to be a consensus take. But for a running back and another flex, who are you guys rolling with?
I'm benching Moss out of this group.
I think so too.
You're benching Moss?
Yep. Start the other 3.
Yeah, Chase Brown's coming on. I mean, I know he's questionable for Sunday, but he's been getting better.
But the Chargers are playing the Broncos.
Broncos got a strong D.
Yeah, a very strong D. That worries me. I mean, I know that their passing game it's kind of in shambles at the moment, but he said, I don't care. All right. Yeah. I'm going to go Zach Moss, Tank Dell, and BTJ. I can't do Dobbins. I can't.
Yeah, that's the big debate for me is the Dobbins piece. Denver's 10th in the league against the run. So it's not like it's crazy high, but it's still their stingy defense. This game could be low scoring.
Pretty good rushing performances against better defenses, though. Like he's playing really, really well this year. To me, it's like don't overthink the matchup.
Well, I don't think so though. His like Las Vegas, easy matchup. He had 135 yards and a touchdown. Carolina, easy matchup. He had 131 yards and a touchdown. Then he goes against Pitt. He has 44 yards, no touchdowns. He averages under 3 yards a carry. Kansas City, 32 yards, averages under 2.5 yards a carry. Then obviously we have the bye week. So the easy defenses, Dobbins has been electric. The tough defenses, he's been less than.
Yeah.
Hey, again, I agree with not thinking about the matchup too much. I mean, you have to it evaluates, but the Giants only allow 3 more yards per game rushing than the Broncos. So it's probably not great matchups for either one of them for the rushing attack.
So I'll take the better running back. And that's Dobbins.
Take Moss.
We're split.
There we go.
You
Well,
would.
you know what?
Pew, 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 pew.
Amber's like 42 in Scottish.
I'm bigger than you. My dad can beat up your dad.
Ties go to a top 50 Scottish player.
Yay.
All right, rolling. So Andre said, here's my starting lineup, 10-team PPR, Allen, Mason, King, Henry, Chase, Wilson, Olave, BTJ, Laporta, Flex, K9. What a squad. Congratulations. I was trying to see if that –
yeah.
So the Jordan Mason, Garrett Wilson move. I think with that kind of squad, you definitely can trade. You can afford to trade those guys and get a level up.
Get that roster, if I'm being honest with you.
And he had Rashee Rice and Pacheco. Just lost those. Dude, I don't know who you drafted with, but you killed him.
Yeah.
It's a 4-team league with children.
Yeah, he's in a 6-team league, and he's about to go pick on somebody.
So he said, Cam the Ham was the one that was talking about trading Mason, Mooney, and Tolbert for Bijan and Nico Collins. He said he's trying to do some black magic on your friend. No, what you're trying to do is you're trying to leave your friend,
You're trying to end that friendship.
Yeah, he's going to go, why did you do this to me later?
It's not a misdemeanor crime. That's a felony. Okay?
Don't play with him next year because he'll have PTSD. He won't trade with anyone, and it'll suck.
All right, so Andre lineup, again, Allen, Mason, King, Henry, Chase, Wilson, Olave, Laporta. So he's talking about doing that trade, and then he said bench, Charbonnet, Ridley, Downs, Jake Ferguson, BTJ. Just curious, any moves y'all would make to try to elevate the squad? I'm 3-2 right now. Lost Rice and Pacheco. Is there anything here? I mean, you asked in the thing, Wilson and Mason moving those for an electric piece. I like that. You can easily replace, throw in BTJ in there. You can bring it into your flex spot where K9 is, take K9, throw him in your running spot, back spot to replace Mason, and then go get you a significant elite, wide receiver or running back to throw in there.
Looking at the running back depth here, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got Mason, Henry, K9, and what's left of Pacheco on IR.
And Sharps, yeah.
Like,
you go get
your receivers are stacked. Like,
yeah. Trade Garrett Wilson and get Bijan for the back half of the season. No doubt.
Yeah, and I can see why he's 3-2. It makes sense because you could tell the games that he lost. He lost Rice in a game. He lost Pacheco in a game. Wilson had a down game, right? You can see exactly where it happened. It's not your fault. Like, you drafted like a monster, So that's all just like, the woes of fantasy football. So
we're gonna cop back over to Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and we've got a trade, and this is an ESPN trade. I'm gonna probably have to read this off to you guys because it's kind of small on the screen. But this is fantasysportsadvice.com, our fantasy sports only social media platform. And we got a question in by Kevin T. He said, do you think this is a fair trade? Trey Sermon, Rashid Shaheed, and A.J. Brown to one team, Cooper Kupp, Travis Etienne, and Keenan Allen to the other team. And I think this is one of those, when you look at the names, you get kind of tied up, right? And you're thinking, oh, maybe this is, off-center trade. But I don't know about you. I don't hate the trade. I actually may be more on the Shaheed and A.J. Brown side. I don't know. Is that crazy?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Like you said, when you give it the old eye test, it's like, what? And then when you really start breaking it down, it's like, okay, that makes total sense. Like, give me A.J. Brown.
I think that one's got a chance to be a victimless crime. I think both people could end up happy there.
No, and there's definitely potential, right? It's for me, I think when we have these expectations of players, I hope Bijan doesn't become one of the players that we feel. I mean, Kupp and Allen, we surround with injury right in our heads. I think we're finally at the point where we're like, we know this is what's going to happen, and it has. So it's, that your expectations are tempered. Now you're at a place where you're like, Shaheed is, we know he's the bomb catching guy. But with Rattler in, what's he going to look like? But it's A.J. Brown at the end of the day. And who knows how long JT will actually be out. So I'm all on the Brown side.
The part that makes it odd is like, okay, if Cooper Kupp stays healthy when he comes back,
yeah,
you killed it getting him and ETN. But it's like, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. I'd rather have A.J. Brown. So,
look, this is completely off topic, but Zach's got a Saints logo on the back, and I know he's a fan. And I just want to say, Zach, congratulations, because you're going to get your first glimpse in real NFL game of your future franchise quarterback.
We might.
Good luck with that. We got to watch him play for a while at OU, and I wasn't a fan. So
I'm excited. I think he's going to be good. I think he's got the makings of something special. That's just me. I've traded for him in several dynasty leagues, especially. So I made the trade this week, and I ran the narrative, right? And this is like, sometimes in you got to be a little bit of a salesman, right? And so, let me
tell you, a salesman? No.
I know. I ran the narrative. I was like, so Derek Carr went down. They didn't even put Rattler in, They went with the Vogue model himself. And played him this week over Rattler. They don't care about Rattler. Rattler's never going to be and I just made a move, and I got him in several leagues. I think he's got some big time potential, especially at that coaching staff in that offense. Zach, as the Saints fan, are you in? Are you excited? Do you think Rattler could be your guy?
Well, I'm intrigued is how I say it. So they've kept him as a healthy scratch all year. I think they were just going like, hey, short of Derek Carr getting hurt, we're not going to play him. We're going to let him learn. But there's a reason they're starting him over the incumbent backup Jake Haener, right? Like they've seen stuff in practice that's made them intrigued as well. So I hope to see what they saw this week. And if not, we'll get to play Jake Haener again. Woo.
Yeah.
And I bust chops because he did suck when he was at OU, but he played much better. He played much better at South Carolina, so it is intriguing.
Well, and look,
to see what happens.
We see players that aren't electric in college that translate to the NFL. I mean, look at Mahomes, Texas Tech. He wasn't amazing, right? Like it wasn't like he was consensus number one guy, and then he fits. He's just a gamer. He plays, and we see that happen all the time where these number one, these number two player picks don't work out. But look at Brock Purdy. I mean, they take Trey Lance.
God, dude. I mean, please.
They take Trey Lance at the top of the draft, and then Brock Purdy comes in and becomes the franchise guy.
I think worst case scenario, he's another Bo Nix.
And
look, and they drafted him in the 5th. So like, if he sucks, who cares? They took him in the 5th. It doesn't matter,
But if he's your franchise guy, you're like the San Francisco 49ers. You got cheap A+ quarterback play for the next several years. Like kudos.
Well, Brock Purdy, we'll call it A-. I don't know about
hey, he's a good enough.
In that system with those skill players, he's competent. He's competent. That's all you need to win a Super Bowl.
Look at Trent Dilfer.
You need a competent QB.
He's got a Super Bowl
QB and a really good defense. That's what you need.
No. Competent QB. Like, look, Eli, Joe Flacco 1-1. Competent.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so need a running back. Singletary if he plays. If not, can get Tracy or Zach Moss.
Tracy.
If you can get Tracy, that's who I'm playing this week. Zach Moss is the second if you can't get it, but I'm trying to go Tracy. 130-something yards last week. That's I want that against a weak matchup.
Yep.
Nick, should I trade Worthy, Zay, and Wicks for Tyreek? Currently has Devonta, Higgins, and Mooney are the other wide receivers. Doesn't it hurt because you're so jaded with Tyreek right now? You took him in the first round, most likely. It's the epitome of like what the heck's going on in Miami. Tua goes down and everything. I mean, just
crumbles.
And we already know Mike McDaniel can't keep running backs healthy. So it's just like, are you buying in? You got a Worthy who had the highest target rate, or even like last game, he was getting the first read on all these plays with Rice out. Zay had a decent week. Wicks is coming on. Like, obviously Tyreek has the highest ceiling, but is he going to touch the ceiling this year is the question.
My problem is, even if Tua manages to come back, he's going to be weekend at Bernie's, like the first solid hit. Tyreek's back in the scrap heap again, and I don't trust that. So like you said, you got Worthy, who is killing it. Zay started to play a little bit better when they throw the ball more. Wicks, he had a down week last week, but I think he's going to continue to improve and have big weeks. The way injuries are going this year, I'd rather just keep the depth. I don't think you're really improving that much over any of those guys.
That seems really expensive. Yeah.
Zach, I'm gonna direct this towards you because I know you comb the Twitter space. And obviously, Ty Hill has been tweeting, some highlights of him and the Chiefs, like he's trying to put this thought out there for everybody to like chew on. If you're in this trade, is there a possibility that Tyreek goes to Kansas City? And if that happens, is it? Are you buying any of that?
No, they can't afford. Like it's the same reason they won't trade for Devontae. Really honest. But let me share. Am I frozen up?
No, you're there.
All right, cool. So I don't think so. And also, let me think about the trade for a second. If I was going to speak this trade into existence, I would do it for roster consolidation. I think you have 6 that you have to accidentally play well to get their good points, and you're probably losing as many weeks as you're winning with these guys. You're like these are like every other guys, and so if you're not playing these 6 guys just right, it's not really helping you. So I think I would consider it from a consolidation standpoint, because then you're just going to play Devontae, Higgins, and Mooney until Hill comes back. I'm fine with it.
I don't mind consolidation, but I think I'd try for someone besides Tyreek to do so.
Fair enough.
I'm just I'm concerned about Tua in general. I mean, one more hit and like, what, you know what I mean? We could see Rome collapse again, and so I just don't. It just scares me. I don't know. Again, if you're willing to do it for risk, it still seems a little pricey for me though.
All right, and then we got to quit. Nick says thanks, Nick. Like and sub the channel. Appreciate you tuning in and dropping your questions. We're here every Friday at 9:00 Central, and we got shows all week. We got Nino Pina coming in saying, you guys think starting Tolbert versus Detroit over Pickens versus Las Vegas is a crazy move? Nope. I already know my answer, so I'm going to let you guys go before I go on a rant here. So, Amber, what are you thinking? You're grinning. You're smiling. You got something to say.
Yeah, I'm willing to risk starting Tolbert over Pickens. I am. I really am. I Las Vegas and Pitts, man, it's just I don't trust it. I don't trust Pickens in this game. I don't like his attitude lately. I think Tomlin will limit his snaps because Tomlin doesn't like attitude anyway. So that's just me on a personal note. But yeah, I'm gonna be crazy and go Tolbert. It is crazy, and I'm gonna do it.
Yep.
I know.
I know the Cowboys fans going Tolbert. Zach, help me out here, okay? Somebody's got to have some sense in this game.
I know.
It ain't gonna be the guy with the 1998 dial-up internet down there.
Yo.
This is the Zac Bradley live streaming from the 90s. All right.
So the Zac Bradley, who are you going with?
Oh no.
No, he froze.
Oh, now he's muted.
Oh, you're muted. Oh,
Kyle, what'd you do?
We're in it. All right, so we're re-intro. Hello. It's Tolbert. The kicker has more points than Pickens. Tolbert.
Oh,
okay. And now Tyler's going to explain to us why he's wrong. Go ahead.
Listen here, okay? You listen here. Don't listen to anybody else in this
Who
room
gave
right
this
now.
guy a show anyway?
You're playing George Pickens, okay? You're playing George Pickens because of the targets. You're playing George Pickens because of possibility against a weak defense. Like
possibility doesn't score fantasy points.
It's fine. Possibility does score fantasy points.
George
Pickens had in the last 3 weeks. He had 7 targets for 57 yards, which wasn't great against LA. Indy last week, or the week before last, 11 targets, 7 catches, 113 yards. His average depth of target is like 13 yards per target. So he's going to get targets. He's going to get touches. He's going to be looked at. I don't care if he's, throwing a fit or not. Whatever. I want George Pickens. He is the only receiver on that team, and he can catch balls in double coverage.
True.
We're still waiting on that big-time game, but if there was a game, right, like it could easily be this week against Las Vegas because, like you said, if they're going to have offense, is it going to be Najee or is it going to be Pickens? And if it's not either of those, who else is left?
Fryer move.
Exactly.
Not going to be Najee.
Which I can say this. I will tell you this. I'm a little bit biased. I have a lot of Pickens shares
for sure.
So
will it into existence.
I have a lot of Pickens shares.
So do I.
I'm speaking this alive right now. Okay, but no, on a real situation, Pickens is one of the best wide receiver talents. It's got to be frustrating when you have Justin Fields there and he's just not getting you the ball all the time. But they're already playing with the idea of a potential Russell Wilson start. Like they're pushing Fields to throw the ball more. Like we need you to get the ball out of your hands. They just came off a loss against, Dallas. And I can tell you Tomlin didn't like it. Nobody would, but I don't know. I think Pickens has a big game. I think the Steelers actually have a decent offensive game this week.
I do notice when you were listing his stats, you didn't mention the Dallas game. You did the 2 weeks before that when he did good.
So. Well, also Tolbert's average is, his yards per carry are about 12, 13 as well. So that's another inconsistency. He's been very consistent when it comes to his catches and his yards as well. So it's. I mean, I get where you're coming from though. He is the target.
Tyler Pickens was on the field last week to block. Okay, like he had his lowest snap percentage of the season. He was 174-pound Scotty Miller and 162-pound Calvin Austin with like actual passing sets. Okay,
he said appreciate that 3-1 vote. Tyler got to take the shot. Hey, look, let me tell you this. Okay,
come back.
If you roll Pickens, I'll be rolling with you, okay? I'm gonna be there with you. We will.
You'll be sad together.
If we
You're just gonna lose together.
If we go down, we go down together.
Nino, jump on the app. Jump on the app, the Fantasy Sports Advice Network app, right? And ask there too, and see what the consensus is. We can just run and come see us Sunday morning too.
Yeah. So. Put a poll up on the app and see how many vote for what.
I'm voting for Tolbert.
So we're gonna end the show on this question. Andrew Burwell popping in. Yo, do I start Singletary / Tyrone Tracy or Gibson if Cook is out? I'm guessing that you mean Gibson if Ramondre is out, which they're speculating Ramondre is out, so it is going to be Gibson. I don't know if Singletary plays this week. That's still not clear. But if Singletary misses, I know that I personally am rolling Tracy.
Tracy over Gibson.
I think what he's saying here is he has James Cook. Yeah, I think he has James Cook, and James Cook's questionable this week, and so he's wondering if he should start one of the Giants backs or Gibson, and it's Tyrone Tracy. So.
Yeah, he's still questionable. It's a groin injury for Singletary.
And Cook's not practiced.
And Cook hasn't practiced, yeah. Yeah, he said, I have James Cook, and he's questionable. It's Tyrone Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's ask this, guys. If Singletary plays, because he hasn't been rolled out yet, if he plays, do you ride Singletary, or does that change it for you?
I think playing Gibson is the same as wondering if Singletary's not going to lose snaps to Tyrone Tracy. Be brave. Play Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, because even if Singletary does play, I think he'd probably be limited and split with Tracy. So I think either way, I'm playing Tracy.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't trust Gibson.
I don't see Gibson doing well against Houston. He had a little bit better matchup, maybe, but stick with Tracy.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. We went a little bit over tonight. Sorry about that. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. We are here every Friday night at 9:00 Central Time with From the Forum, answering your fantasy football questions. Again, thanks for tuning in. Amber, appreciate you. Kyle, appreciate you. Zach, with your dial-up internet, I appreciate you because I know it took that beep, boop, beep, for you to get online tonight, and we're still glad you're here.
I'm going home.
Anyways, y'all have a great night. We'll see you next week from the Forum. Peace.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.